Blog Talk Radio.
Mi chiamo Afuraitkait Neye Ojirada Medinde Odwirafo Kwesi Nehem Ptah Akan Odwirafo of the Aakhuamu Nation in North America. Aakhuamu mine AMARUKAFO Etifimu Odwirafo. Greetings to all Afuraitkait people, meaning Africans, black people. Today is Odwira Day, Purification Day. My name is Odwirafo Kwesi Nehem Ptah Akan. Odwirafo of the Aakhuamu Nation in North America within Odwira mine, the Purified Nation, Afuraitkait people in the Western Hemisphere. Yet I say we thank you once again for tuning into the broadcast. We're going to open up the chat room. If you have any questions or comments and you'd like to interact in the chat room, you must log in as a user in order to interact. If you have any questions or comments on the phone line, simply hit the number 1 so that we can see that your hand is raised. For those who are new to the broadcast, we have 4 broadcasts on a weekly basis. We have Akan Nanasom, Ancient Authentic Akan Ancestral Religion on Joda on Monday nights, where we deal specifically with the Akan expression of Nanasom of Ancestral Religion. First and foremost, because we are Akan. Secondly, because of the misinformation being propagated regarding Akan culture, cosmology, religious practice, and so forth, not only from the Western Hemisphere, but individuals on the continent who have been infected with Christianity, Islam, Judaism, white culture in general, and thus the infections corrupt their presentation of ancestral religion. So we deal with ancient, authentic Akan ancestral religion, which takes us to our ancestral origins, born of our blood circles, our origins in ancient Kanat, the Khan land, ancient Nubia, which is a title, Khan land, Kanat, the title of ancient Nubia. Our people migrated from those regions a couple of thousand years ago towards the western part of the continent to reestablish the Kanat Empire after the fall of Kemet in northern Kanat. We reestablished the Empire of Ghana in the western part of the continent. Hundreds of years later, because of Muslim invasion, some of our people migrated further south to the regions of today's contemporary Ghana and Ivory Coast and reestablished Akan civilization in the Savannah and Forest Belt regions. Centuries later, some of our people were taken from those regions and forced into North, Central, South America, the Caribbean, and Europe during Musuo Kessie, the Great Perversity, the enslavement era. And thus we ended up in the Western Hemisphere. But we maintained our ancestral religious traditions. Thus the Akan ancestral religion in South America and Suriname is called Winti from the Akan term Huinti. Akan ancestral religion is called Obia in Jamaica from the Akan term Obai. Akan ancestral religion is called Hoodoo in North America from the Akan term Undu, meaning medicine from roots, trees, plant life, root work, and so forth. It also means to become heavy with the spirit through spirit possession, spirit communication. We also call the tradition Kanje or Conjure from the Akan term Kanche, which means to utter incantations to bring the spirits of the deities and ancestral spirits forth. In these terms, Undu and Kanche, Hoodoo and Conjure, Undu and Kanche, are also found in the language of ancient Kanit and Kanat with the exact same meanings. We utilize ancestral religious traditions to empower ourselves, but also wage war against the whites and their offspring and force the end of enslavement in the Western Hemisphere. So we deal with that kind of information on Akanfo Nanason, ancient authentic Akan ancestral religion. On Awukuda Wednesday night, we have Egoa Marketplace Day, where we showcase Afuraitkait businesses, organizations, and institutions, those who are serving the Afuraitkait community in a positive capacity, those who maintain their ancestral religious values in the context of their service. We also deal with the philosophical foundation of economic development rooted in our ancestral religious values. Thus, we have published the Okom economic development model, which is an economic development model rooted in our ancestral religious values. Thus, it is a holistic approach to economic development for Afuraitkait African black people. You can download that document, free download from our Okom page on our website. That's Egoa Marketplace Day on Yauda Thursdays, Yabada Abada Thursday night. We have Amain Sim, Affairs of the Nation, where we deal with Amaniye nationism, the purification of nationalism, and our approach to dealing with our issues, specifically as they relate to us as an Oman, as a nation, specifically Ojira mind, the purified nation. Ojira means purified. Oman means nation. Mine also means land of the west, land of the setting sun. Ojira mind is the purified nation, Afuraitkait people in the Western Hemisphere. So we have a specific approach to dealing with our issues that confront us, rooted in the reality that we understand what an Oman or a nation actually is. It's a living, breathing entity governed by specific Obosom, Orisha, Voodoo forces in creation, just as an organ within your body is a specific structure. Children of the organ are the cells that serve the organ. Their parent structure of that organ is governed by specific forces in creation. The cells, when they're serving the organ of which they're a component part, is serving the spiritual force that animates that organ as well. We are cells within a greater body. That body is an Oman, a nation governed by specific Obosom. Our people who were forced into the Western Hemisphere at some point were directed by our Nanano Nsamanfo, our spiritually cultivated ancestresses and ancestors, to coalesce in a specific region of the Earth Mother's body, blend ancestral blood circles to bring back ancestresses and ancestors into our family blood circles and so forth, interface with the Earth Mother divinities in this region of the Earth Mother's body, blend with the plant life, animal life, mineral life, for food as well as medicine in this region of the Earth Mother's body, interface with the unique expression of the Obosom, the Orisha, the Voodoo in this region of the Earth Mother's body, and this confluence of events allowed us to forge a locative identity rooted in the nature of our interaction, unique interaction with one another, blended ancestral blood circles in this region of the Earth Mother's body and the energetic complexes that go along with that. So we have a specific, unique approach to ancestral culture, religion, and also how to solve our issues. We deal with Amaniye nationism, the purification of nationalism. We thus have an Amaniye approach or a nationist approach to solve all of our issues. So that's what we deal with on Ama and Sim affairs of the nation. Tonight is Ojira, purification. Ojira means purification. In the Akan language, it also means to celebrate a ceremony of purification. Jira means purification in the language of ancient Kemet and Kanat, so-called Nubia, Egypt and Nubia. It also means to celebrate a ceremony of purification, the same term with the same meanings. So we deal with the purification of concepts, culture, cosmology, ritual practice, and how ancestral religion impacts every aspect of our lives. We don't deal just with the Akan expression, but any expression of Afuraitkait, African ancestral religion, no matter where we exist on earth. Afuraitkait people are engaged in the fundamental practice of Nanasom, or ancestral religion, which is defined as the ritual incorporation of divine law and the ritual restoration of divine balance. Through ritual, we incorporate those things, objects, deeds, and entities we need to incorporate in order to harmonize our thoughts, intentions, and actions with divine order. And through ritual, we reject those things, objects, deeds, and entities we need to reject in order to restore balance to our thoughts, intentions, and actions, and thus realign ourselves with divine order. So the ritual incorporation of divine law and the ritual restoration of divine balance, these are the expansive and contracted poles of ancestral religion. We state that Ojira, purification, operationalizes Nanasom. Purification operationalizes our practice of ritually incorporating law and ritually restoring balance to our lives. As we seek to align every thought, intention, and action with divine order every moment of every day, which is our culture, our way of life, as we're executing our function in creation, when we make legitimate mistakes, we engage that ritual process to incorporate law and restore balance so we can get back in alignment with divine order and operate harmoniously every moment of every day. This is how ancestral religion impacts every aspect of our lives. So we deal with the purification of concepts, cosmology, culture, and so forth that has been infected by those who have been infected with white pseudo-religion, fake religions like Christianity, Islam, Judaism, Hinduism, Taoism, Buddhism, Jainism, and so forth, and various pseudo-esoteric, pseudo-spiritualities and so forth. tonight's broadcast, Henet, which is the Pelican Obosom, the Pelican divinity, the mother of the Nesut, the mother of the king. So we want to deal with the nature and function of this divinity, this force in creation, for a number of reasons. It's a sacred akyeneboa, a sacred animal totem. And of course, we have animal totems, plant totems, mineral totems, and so forth in our ancestral religious practices. We are part of the same energy complexes of specific animals, plant life, mineral life, and so forth. We're categorized in certain Afuraitkait human beings. We fall into the categories and placed into the different categories of certain energy complexes governed by specific forces in creation. And the animal life, mineral life, and plant life, who are part of those energy complexes, form that clan structure and so forth. So this pelican, the Henet, is a major animal totem, akyeneboa, amongst Afuraitkait people wherever we exist. And so we want to get into this information. You will see, for example, in the video that we put out about our recent Happy Merit hibernation training, cultural and ritual retreat that we just had in South Carolina on one of the Gullah Islands, Edisto Island, one of the Gullah Islands in South Carolina. We just had that retreat on the weekend of February 16th. We put the video out showing some of the footage from the retreat and certain aspects of the ritual component, ancestral rituals that we did on the beach at the waters of Epo Abena, the great mother of the oceans, Bosom Po, the great father divinity of the oceans, and so forth, giving and offering and engaging the ritual process of purification and cleansing and so forth. These are the waters of the ocean, so-called Atlantic Ocean, but Epo Abena and Bosom Po, the female and male divinities that animate that great body of water and so forth. That body of water is what that we've crossed over to be transported into the Western Hemisphere, but it's also the body of water that sustained us and continues to sustain us and so forth. So we engage that ritual process with those sacred waters to purify our heads so we can clarify our focus and move forward. It's also important because on the ocean floor, there are trails of bones leading from the eastern coast of the United States to the western coast of Afuraka, Afuraitkait, Africa. The bones of our ancestresses and ancestors, some who jumped ships, some who were thrown off of the ships, some who commandeered ships and to go back to the continent and so forth, waging war against the whites and their offspring who were forcing us, attempting to force us into enslavement and so forth. So we have ancestral shrines at the bottom of the ocean, at the bottom of Epo Abena and Bosom Po, so we connect with those ancestresses and ancestors as well. So you'll see in the video also that you'll see a number of images of the Henet, of the pelican, flying over the waters and so forth. So we wanted to get into that information as well. We also want to talk about, for example, the pelican, the Henet, is a symbol of Louisiana. We'll be having our KA-KAIT, Soul of Hoodoo and Voodoo retreat on Memorial Day weekend, on that Saturday and Sunday, the 26th and 27th of May, in Treme, New Orleans. Myself, along with Voodoo Queen Kalinda Laveau, who's based in New Orleans, will be doing the Obedima Afuraitkait Manhood Workshop and Obatime Afuraitkait Womanhood Workshop. We'll also be dealing with Ptah Sasatem, as well as the nature of Hoodoo and Voodoo in the context of Afuraitkait and Afuraitkait manhood and our development as an Oman. So we have a few spaces left with regard to that. If you would like to attend that retreat, go to the KA-KAIT page, the Soul of Hoodoo and Voodoo on our website, and you can sign up for that retreat. All of the information is there. But so we're dealing with Henet, and we want to get into some details about this divinity. First and foremost, the name Henet, dealing with the mother of the Nesut, the mother of the king. When you look in the Meru text, the pyramid text, which is the earliest religious compositions yet unearthed in the world, you'll find that Henet is referred to as the mother of the king, the king's mother. It says, for example, in The pyramid text utterance 3:18, it says Henet is the king's mother, and the king is her son. So first and foremost, we look at the name Henet, sometimes spelled Henut or Henuat or Henuit. That in and of itself is the term for queen as well as queen mother in ancient Kemet. Henet, Henut, Henuat, or Henuit means queen. When you look in the Akan tradition, the word for king is Hene. The word for queen mother is Henewa, Heneba, also Hema or Hema, but Hema is a contraction of Heneba, also Henewa. And Henewa is the version that you find in ancient Kemet as Henet or Henuat or Henuit, but that Henuat is Henewa in Akan, meaning queen, also term for queen mother. So we use the same term, Henewat, in Akan as Henewat or Henuit in ancient Kemet for the queen. So why would we use that terminology? Is this pelican divinity is the queen mother. Let's look at the function of a queen mother quickly in our Akan tradition, and then we'll get into some more details. If you look in our book, MASIE, the Ancestorhood of Nana Yao, Dr. Bobby Wright, we showcase 7 Adinkra symbols that represent Obrabo, or ethical existence, and also compare them with the writings and formulations of Dr. Bobby Wright, who we call Nana Yao, who's a Black nationalist, Pan-Africanist psychologist, and so forth. But in this particular text, in the second section, we talk about the Adinkra symbol Ajo, and the ebe or proverb associated with Ajo, the Adinkra symbol, is when the king has good counselors, the reign will be peaceful. So we say that the Adinkra symbol Ajo defines that which is necessary for the continuity of an independent nation. The root of the word Ajo is Jo, which in the Twi language of the Akhan means to cool, spiritual coolness, calm, is prerequisite for those in positions of authority that they may make proper judgments and decisions. Reactionary decision making can often lead to disorder because one was not cool enough to recognize the various options available to him or her. This is because coolness is the basis of receptivity. Contemplation, deep thought, clarity of vision, and focus are the benefits of cooling, calming ourselves mentally. The Akan state structure reflects this principle in an instructive manner. And of course, in our book, Akyeneboa, Volume 2, when we talk about Awusi and Ajo, which is also in our set, Ajo or Ajua is the form of Auset when she's operating through the moon, and Monday, Ajo is Alsar operating through the moon, and Monday, Ajua is Auset. This symbol, Ajo, is directly derived from that coolness, the continuity of the nation, and so forth, the establishment of civilization, dealing with Alsar as Ajo, the continuity or perpetuation of civilization, dealing with Ajua or Auset. So in our Akan culture, when the Oheni, the king, is the head of the nation, the Ohema or Heniwa, Henuat, as we said in ancient Kemet, but Heniwa in Akan is the queen mother, is his highest level counsel. So when the Adinkra symbol, Ebe, the proverb says, when the king has good counselors, the reign will be peaceful. The highest level counsel in that context, when the king is the head of the state or nation, the Henewa is the queen mother. She's the highest level counsel. She is co-ruler of the state or nation whose authority is complementary as opposed to subsidiary to that of the Oheni, the king. The Ohema's or Oheniwa's throne is in fact senior to the throne of the Oheni, the king. The Heniwa is the only official who has the right to challenge the Heni, the king, in public. Moreover, it is through the Heniwa or the Ohema that succession to the throne is determined. The Heniwas thus hold the keys to the continuity of the state or nation. It is through that matriclan descent that the rulership, male and female, comes. So it comes through the queen mother's womb and throne and so forth. So we go into some more detail about that. We talk about Afurakanu, Afuraitkait have always honored the ability of women to receive messages from the spirit realm. The ritual for these messages from the realm of the ancestresses and ancestors and the deities are messages containing moral admonitions, direction, guidance, wisdom, and warnings of what is to come if we may remain on the behavioral path upon which we have placed ourselves. Messages from the spirit realm are essentially transmissions of what is defined as divine law, instruction on how to ritually incorporate these laws in our lives and how to ritually restore divine balance whenever we lose our way. The messages are received from the supreme beings through the agency of the deities and the ancestral spirits. In Akan culture, these principles are the underpinning of the responsibilities of the Henewa, the Queen Mother, the greater among which is her function as the custodian of social practices, protocol, customs, and traditions, in a word, education. Because of her receptivity, she is a repository of ancestral wisdom and has oversight with respect to the application and reinforcement of this wisdom within the educational institutions of society. The Ohene, the king, is a representative of the people to the ancestresses and ancestors. The Queen Mother, the Henewa, is a representative of the ancestresses and ancestors to the people. She receives not only an ancestor or ancestress into her womb and draws them back into the physical world, but she's a representative of the spirit realm to the people. She's the receptive vehicle. She goes into transpossession and so forth, communication at a greater degree than the males, although males also receive communication from the ancestresses and ancestors is at a higher degree, racial-wise with the female and so forth because of her cooler disposition spiritually and her function as a receiver, just like she receives the sperm and ovum and the implantation takes place within her and the delivery takes place within the female. In the same process, she receives an ancestral spirit that enters her womb. She receives the communication from the ancestresses and ancestors and the deities, and she brings that message to the people. So when the people see her, they see a receptacle of the communication of the forces in creation and the ancestresses and ancestors. So that deals with divination. That deals with inquiry into the realm of the ancestresses and ancestors, the Nananom, Nsamanfo, and the Obosom, the deities, the forces in nature. So because we have that function for the Henewa or Henewat, Henut in ancient Kemet, the Queen, the Mother, and so forth, same title in Akan, now we have an understanding of the function of that title. Even the basic term Hen or Henit means border, boundary, end, limit, frontier, the two ends of heaven and so forth in the language of ancient Kemet. A mythical locality, talking about the aspects of the spirit realm, so that frontier, that border, the end, she's the crossing between the spirit realm and the physical realm and so forth, and she stands on that border, being able to receive that from the spirit realm and transmit it to us. So the pelican is called Henet, Henewat, Henet, and Henut, and Henewat, and so forth. The king's mother, the mother of the king is her son. But then when you look further in the text, we just talked about in the Akan tradition, the Henewa is the highest level council of the king, the Hene. She's the highest level council, first and foremost because of her receptivity to the ancestresses and ancestors and the deities, and she can communicate those messages of divine order from the spirit realm to the community. So then you look in the text of ancient Kemet, not only is she called the mother of the king and the king is her son and so forth, in the coffin text, as well as the so-called Pert Imheru's so-called Book of Coming Forth by Day, the deceased is assured that the mouth of the pelican is open for you, the mouth of the pelican is thrown open for you, the pelican has caused you to go out into the day to the place where you wish to be. Then you'll find in Pyramid Text, Utterance 254, you find that it says the Henet, the pelican, will prophesy. The postjet pelican will go up. Then you'll find in another text, the coffin text number 484, the Henet, the pelican prophesies, the shining one, postjetu, goes forth. the dress of Het Heru is woven, the path is prepared for me that I may pass by. Then you also have another coffin text, number 622, the Henet, the pelican will prophesy, the shining one will go forth. So one of the titles of the pelican is the shining one, Postjet or Postjetu, the shining one, as we've shown in our book, off the origin of the term Yoga Karakasa, the origin and nature of the chakra. The term Postjetu or Postjet not only means 9, the number 9, for example, the sacred configuration of 9 divinities, but Postjet also means backbone. So when you look at the symbol of the backbone, the medut of the backbone, it's called Postjet, but Postjet also means shining and illuminate. So what's the connection between shining and illuminate and the backbone? If you look at the spelling of the term shining and illuminate, you'll see this disk of the sun, shining and so forth, but the same term, Postjet, meaning shining or illuminate, also is the term for backbone, and you also see the disk of the sun, the Aten, the Atenit. You see the symbol of the backbone, and you're looking at the posterior region of the backbone where the rib cage is and so forth, but you see that symbol. It's a diagonal line with horizontal lines through it showing it's the backbone and so forth, in general meaning backbone, but also meaning shining and illuminate. So you see the disk of the sun, you see the symbol of the backbone, the vertebrae, a portion of the vertebrae, and then you see the serpent, the curved serpent. So you have the serpent, the backbone, and the symbol of the shining, illuminate Aten, Atenit, the sun. That is the serpent deity moving up the backbone, powered by that solar energy. That is incorporated in the cosmology of ancient Kemet. It predates the Kundalini of India. Of course, we brought that cosmology and culture with us when we migrated to ancient India before the whites in Arab Spring invaded India or existed in India. We were already there. We simply brought this culture from Afuraka, Afuraitkait to the east. So when you see the curved serpent connected to the backbone and the radiant disk of the sun, and Postjet means the backbone with the serpent in the backbone shining and illuminate and powerful, but the term, which is the term Postjet, but then you also have the term Postjet, which means shining and illuminate. You see the direct connection. But shining and illuminate, meaning Postjet, illuminate one, also being the title of Henet, the mother of the king, the one who is his highest level counsel. Shining and illuminate is also that attribute of the ancestresses and ancestors. They are called the shining ones or the illuminate ones. Why are they called the shining ones and illuminate ones? On one hand, it has to do directly with their manifestation. Physically, when you're operating in harmony with order, you're spiritually grounded, then your aura is large and is vibrant and is powerful, and it illuminates. If someone is clairvoyant, they can see you have a vibrant, powerful, strong aura. If you're sick or weak or out of harmony with order, you have a weaker, smaller, much more dim aura from the perspective of someone who could see you clairvoyantly. When someone makes their transition, if they were living in harmony with order, they are a spirit, but their aura, their hybrid, is strong, it is wide, it is vibrant, it is illuminate, and so forth. And of course, if someone is out of harmony with order, they have a weak, murky, dim, small aura, they're not radiant, and so forth. So when you're communicating with the ancestresses and ancestors and they manifest at ritual, at the shrine, or wherever you are, you're pouring libation and so forth, or you're burning candles or whatever it is, when that spirit manifests, the ones that have the most vibrant aura are literally the shining ones, because their aura is literally shining and vibrant and powerful and large. So they actually manifest like little suns or little stars in the spirit realm, so to speak. This is why there's an association with the stars in the sky at night and the ancestresses and ancestors. Of course, going into the quote-unquote underworld is going into the dark, the burial, and so forth. That's the gateway to the ancestral realm. So you go into quote-unquote darkness or the underworld when you make your transition. However, if you have a vibrant aura, then you're shining that quote-unquote light literally. The stars, of course, shining in the darkness, but the key is that's the connection between those kinds of spirits that have vibrant auras. And it has nothing to do with black people coming in spaceships from stars. That's pure stupidity. So, but the stars also light your way physically in the physical realm. When the sun sets, if there's a new moon and so forth, and it's pitch black outside, when you have a number of stars in the sky, they are lighting your path. If you look at the dung beetle, for example, it has been shown that they can use moonlight as well as starlight to guide their path at night when they're rolling the ball of dung and so forth. So we find our way in the darkness when the stars are out shining and so forth, but also you find your way through the darkness when you have someone who is illuminated, an ancestor, an ancestress, who operated in harmony with order throughout the course of their lives, and they have the capacity and responsibility to guide you when you're in darkness. Darkness is a natural manifestation. Blindness is unnatural. So when we operate in darkness, we need to operate in darkness when we have an illumined path. When we connect with the ancestresses and ancestors who are illuminated, they can shine their light, give us that wisdom, that illumination, so we can make the proper decisions and recognize what our KA-KAIT, our soul, is trying to guide us towards. We can make good decisions, and the outcome is a harmonious and ethical life and so forth. So when you have Henet, the great mother of the king, they talk about her prophesying. That's inquiry into the nature of the deities and ancestral spirits, receiving that proper information, that harmonious information, and then handing that over to the individual who has made his transition, as well as our people here, so we can receive that information and utilize it to our best benefit. When she's prophesying or communicating with the spirit realm and transmitting those messages to us, she's called Postjetu. That's why she has that title in the pyramid text and coffin text, because she's illuminate, she's shining, she's inquiring of the ancestral spirits and the deities and bringing that message to us. Now, we want to get into a specific text in Heru, the so-called Book of Dead and so forth, and that particular text is chapter 68 in the Runu Pertinent Heru, Book of Coming Forth by Day. We're going to pull that up right quick. Just give me a second to pull that up. Okay. Now, this particular text is a little bit lengthy, but we're going to go through the whole piece. It includes this invocation of Henet, the Pelican divinity, and if you watch that video from Edisto Island and you see the imagery that we have set forward, you'll see that it's directly related. You'll see this text is directly related. First, we're not only directly related to the imagery, but also the song and the lyrics that are supporting that imagery. You'll see us at the ocean. You see us giving offerings and so forth, engaged in ritual practice, cleansing the head. We talked about the ancestresses and ancestors and the literal shrines, their bodies, their bones at the bottom of the ocean. We're reconnecting in that way as well. So when you look at this particular text, inclusive of the pelican, you'll see the pelicans flying over the water. When we were engaged in the ritual process and we began to give offerings and cleanse our heads, we had one particular seagull that was circling the entire group during that ritual process, just simply circling around all of us. And then we had pelicans flying across the water at that particular time. So this is directly related to that. And once you see the video again, after we go through this text, you can rewatch the video again. You'll see it's directly related point by point for this text. But it's also, of course, related to Afuraitkait people just in general in the Western Hemisphere. So chapter 68, and it's called the chapter of going out into the day. And of course, that's going out into the light, going out into the illumination. Someone makes their transition. They go through a period where they're connected to the family members, and then they make their transition to the realm or the region where their spiritually cultivated ancestresses and ancestors dwell, those who have gone before them, so they can take up residence in that ancestral community and live in harmony and so forth, and become well seated there and so forth, and connected to the Obosom, the divinities as well, in a harmonious fashion. So we're talking about going out into that, going out into day or coming into that kind of light or illumination, so you can be well seated in the ancestral realm. So the text says, the doors of the sky are open for me. So, of course, in the Runu Pertinent Haru, the text is written for the specific person who's made his transition and talking about his foray into the ancestral realm and the path that he must take and what happens. So it says, the doors of the sky are open for me. The doors of the earth are open for me. The door bolts of Geb, the male earth divinity, are open for me. The shutters of the sky windows are thrown open for me. It is he who guarded me, who releases me, who binds his hand on me and thrusts his hand onto me on earth. The mouth of the Henet, the pelican, is opened for me. The mouth of the pelican is given to me, and I go out into the day to the place where I desire to be. So before we go forward with that, when they say the mouth of the pelican is open for me, remember the pelican is dealing with quote-unquote prophecy, communicating what the spirits and of the deities and ancestral spirits are directing us to do and so forth, showing us what's in harmony with order and what is out of harmony with order. So we're talking about the mouth of the pelican. Of course, the most prominent feature of the pelican's bill is the great pouch that the pelican has. The pelican some pelicans can hold up to 3 gallons of water in the pouch. And of course, the pouch is positioned near the throat and so forth, and the vocal cords and so forth. And when the pelican's bill is against their chest, pressed against the neck, the vocal cords and the pouch is there. The pouch captures prey, and of course, that prey is for nourishment. So when the pelican captures fish and so forth and captures them in the pouch, that which they capture and hold within the great pouch is that which nourishes them, which they feed off of and fuel themselves off of and feed their children, their fledglings and so forth from. But it's also showing that great pouch, what is in the mouth or in the bill or the pouch or near the throat of the pelican. It has the greatest pouch, so it's the one, what is it's holding in its mouth, quote unquote, it is of greatest potency. It is of that greatest nourishment. It has the greatest capacity to hold nourishment within its mouth. It has the greatest capacity to, quote unquote, prophesy or hold those spiritual truths that are nourishing to our spirit, those things that we need to recognize, to align ourselves with, so we can align every thought, every intention, every action with divine order every moment of every day. That great pouch symbolizes that and references that, the capacity to hold in the mouth that which nourishes us, and once it's released or prophesied or given to us, then we can recalibrate ourselves, we can purify ourselves. So that's why it says the pelican, the mouth of the Henet, the pelican is open for me, the mouth of Henet is given to me. First is open for me. I can hear the prophecy or the communication from the spirit realm through the agency of Henet, the mother, the counselor, the greatest counselor, the prophesier and so forth. I can hear from her. The mouth is open for me. I can get those messages. Then it says the mouth of the Henet, the pelican, is given to me, and I go out into the day to the place where I desire to be. So it's given to me. After it's open for me, I can hear the prophecy or the communication, the proper messages. Then the mouth of the Henet or pelican is given to me. Now I can produce those messages myself. I can attune to the KA-KAIT and release those prophecies or communications myself. And as an honored ancestor or an honored ancestress, when I elevate to that position, I can be the one who speaks to my children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, great-great-grandchildren who are still on earth, and I can quote-unquote prophesy or communicate to them the proper direction that they can take. First, I must align with Henet, the greatest counselor, the highest level counsel, the king's mother, and so forth. Listen to her prophecies, her direction, and so forth, her nourishment that's coming from her great bill and her pouch. I get in harmony with order by listening to those prophecies or directions or admonitions, and then I am given the same mouth that she has, and I can do the same thing for my children and so forth. And practice. So the next piece of the text says, now that it says the mouth is given to me, first the mouth is open for me, the mouth of the Pelican Henet is open for me, then the mouth of the Pelican Henet is given to me. And I go out into the day to the place where I desire to be. And once you get to that level of a certain level of spiritual cultivation and equilibrium, now you can go out to the place you desire to be. You desire to dwell, when you make your transition, in the community of the spiritually cultivated ancestresses and ancestors. Not those uncultivated individuals who died, who are still earthbound and suffering and causing problems in people's lives and so forth. You're going to the place where you desire to be. You listen to the direction, the admonition, the counsel, the prophecy of the Henet, the Queen Mother, Spirit, the Spirit of the Queen Mother, who's the Mother of the King, and so forth, the Pelican, and then you were given the same mouth. So now you can go out into the day, go out to the place where you desire to be, and become firmly seated in the ancestral realm amongst that community. The next piece says, now may I have power in my heart. May I have power in my heart. May I have power in my arms. May I have power in my legs. May I have power in my mouth. May I have power in all my members. May I have power over invocation offerings. May I have power over water. May I have power over air. May I have power over the waters. May I have power over the streams. May I have power over riparian lands. May I have power over the men who would harm me. May I have power over the women who would harm me in the deity's domain. May I have power over those who would give orders to harm me upon earth. So once he adheres to the admonitions and directions of Henet, the highest level counsel, then he's given the mouth himself of Henet so he can engage in that same kind of communication, spirit communication. Then he's allowed to go out into the day, become firmly seated to the place where he desires to be, meaning the ancestral realm, the community of the ancestresses and ancestors. Now he has the capacity to invoke the powers of the deity so that he can have power over himself, power over his heart. He's not pulled in different directions with his heart with regard to emotional instability and so forth. His heart is firm and powerful. He has the power over his arms and legs, his movement as a spirit to communicate, connect with his ancestors, or connect with his descendants who are still on earth. He, as an ancestor or a woman as an ancestress, has the capacity to move back and forth between the physical realm and the spirit realm to communicate with their descendants in dreams, during ritual practices when people are engaged in pouring libation and spirit possession, spirit communication, ritual dance, ritual song. Now this ancestor or ancestors can now have the mobility, the power over the arms and legs and all their members so they can go and possess and communicate their descendants, with their descendants, communicate with them, possess them, communicate with them, and give them direction through ritual. And it therefore says, may I have power over my mouth, after have power over my heart, my arms, my legs, may I have power over my mouth. So when they're engaged in that kind of communication, allowing themselves to enter into those forms of spirit possession through ritual dance, ritual song, ritual prayer, and they're the spirit that goes down and possesses their descendants and so forth, and they have power over their mouth, so they speak what is in harmony with order and so forth. Then it says, may I have power over invocation offerings. not only the invocation offerings that the individual gives to the deities and so forth, but those offerings that are given by their descendants to them as an ancestor or an ancestress in the spirit realm. They receive the offerings that are given to them by their descendants. So when we here on earth give an offering, a food offering, or some other kind of offering to our ancestresses and ancestors on our shrines and so forth, they receive the energy of that offering. It provokes them, and then they respond and communicate to us. But when we're an ancestor and ancestress, we're the one receiving the invocatory or evocatory offerings and so forth. We receive that energy that is projected to us, and we respond by going to communicate, going to possess, going to give direction, guidance, admonitions, and so forth. So he says, may I have power over the invocation offering. May I have power over water. May I have power over air. May I have power over the waters. May I have power over the streams. May I have power over the riparian lands. May I have power. So when they're talking about these different areas of creation, we burn incense. We release the smells, the smoke, and so forth into the air. We give offerings, place them not only by trees and so forth in nature, but also pouring libation and giving offerings in streams and over the waters. That means the oceans, lakes, rivers, and so forth, just as we did at the Edisto Island, the Gullah Island. We went to the ocean and so forth, gave an offering into the waters and so forth to those ancestresses and ancestors, as well as the Obosom, so they can have power over the waters and the invocation offerings, as well as the air and so forth, where we project those sound vibrations through the air through ritual prayer. They have power to receive these offerings, these communications, and respond to us in kind. Then it says, may I have power over the men who would harm me. May I have power over the women who would harm me in the spirit's domain or the deity's domain and so forth. Physically, of course, when we're talking about ourselves, when you engage in ritual communication and you invoke these Obosom, inclusive of Henet, the one who's, the king's mother and so forth, talking about sovereignty and having sovereignty over yourself, making decisions so you can be independent but sovereign over yourself, and you have power over your arms, legs, all of your members and so forth, the waters, not only in the spirit realm and physical realm, but also the waters within your body and the air within your body that carries the life force energy. The air carries that, and the water carries the nutrients and so forth. You have power over these aspects of your own physical body, so you can develop your spiritual immunity. You can repel those who are seeking to harm you, men as well as women, physically in the physical world, but also a spirit has to have that capacity as well. And someone who makes their transition, they can be drawn by negative spirits into a negative existence in the spirit realm. They want to have power over themselves so they can repel that kind of negativity from other discarnate spirits, and they can operate harmoniously in the spirit realm and, once again, go to the place where they desire to be. So they're talking about once they connect with Henet and the mouth of the pelican is open to them and given to them, they gain power over themselves, power over the waters, power over the lands and so forth, but also power over those who would harm them physically as well as in the spirit domain. May I have power over those who would give orders to harm me upon earth. Those who are giving orders to harm, so those who are engaged in ritual practice, so-called negative, quote-unquote, witchcraft, who trying to give orders to project negative energy towards someone, to harm someone. We have this direct experience of not only purifying ourselves and healing ourselves ritually, using ritual medicine and so forth, not only for physical ailments, but spiritual, discordance and so forth. But we also have the experience of when people are trying to project negative energy upon us and trying to cause us harm, seeking to do us harm or giving orders to other spirits to come and do us harm and so forth. And we pick up on that We know somebody is out there seeking to do something because they're projecting the energy of those spirits have tried to enter the home or attach themselves to us in a parasitic fashion, try to attach themselves to our kahibit, our aura, and so forth. But you connect with the Great One, who's the highest level counsel to the king, the sovereign who rules the entire land. She's the highest level counsel as the queen, and so forth, the Henewa, because she can, quote-unquote, engage in that posjetu, that prophecy, receiving that illumination from the deities and ancestral spirits and transmits that illumination to us, to you. So then you have the capacity to repel, gain power over those who seek to harm you, as well as those who give orders ritually to harm you upon earth. That's what he's talking about. Then the next section says, the deity replies, surely it will be according to what you say to me. You shall live on the bread of Geb, which is the earth, crust of the earth, male crust of the earth divinity, father of Al-Sar and Al-Set and Set and Nebuchadnezzar. So you shall live on the bread of Geb, and you shall not eat or consume what you detest, which is disorder. You shall live on the bread of white emmer and beer of red barley of Hapi in the pure place, being well seated in the ancestral realm. You shall sit under the branches of the tree of Het Heru, who is preeminent in the wide solar disk when she travels to Anu, the sacred city of Ra, bearing the script of the divine words, the writings of Tahuti. So he's talking about he's going to be well seated in the ancestral realm. He's going to receive protection and illumination and nourishment, not only from Hapi, but also sitting under the branches of the tree of Het Heru. She's the divinity of beauty, the manifestation of divine harmony, the revelation of order, and so forth. So when you connect with Het Heru, that which is beautiful, that which is harmonious, that which is cyclically in harmony with order, and manifests. When you see beauty, as we said in our previous broadcasting with Het Heru, that's a manifestation of divine harmony. Things are operating in divine order. Harmony is simply order manifest. If you want to see, if someone says, show me a picture of order, you can't show a picture of order. But if you show something that's beautiful or harmonious, when you see harmony in the real sense, you're seeing the manifestation of order. And beauty is the expression of harmony. Het Heru is the one who fuses complementary opposites in a harmonious fashion, of course, and beauty that's manifest, whether it's visual or through sound, music, or through art and so forth, or forms, geometric forms, or colors and so forth, things pulled together in a harmonious fashion, or the harmonious fashion or union of the Afuraka male, Afuraka female, so that a fusion can take place and conception can take place, and an ancestor or ancestors can be brought back into the world because of that harmonious union or fusion of beauty, harmony, and so forth. This is what you're dealing with. The first major divinity we see when we make our transition, you see Het Heru in the form of the sacred Kait or cow emerging from the western mountain, the land of the setting sun, the gateway to the ancestral realm. You're confronted and interface with the divinity of beauty as soon as you make your transition, because that helps to recalibrate you and bring harmony to you. Even though you transition, you may have been in a state of sadness or melancholy and so forth when you separate from your physical body and separate from your physical earth family. But the first thing that you're allowed to do is recalibrate towards harmony and beauty, because you see the deity that radiates beauty, manifests beauty, as soon as you enter into that gateway into the ancestral realm in the west. So Het Heru is there. In this text, you shall sit under the branches of the tree of Het Heru, who is preeminent in the wide solar disk, when she travels to Anu, the sacred city of Ra, and Ra and Ra, the father and mother of Het Heru, bearing the script of the divine words, the writings of Tahuti. And because she, the beautiful one, is bearing the script of the divine words, that oracular system of Tahuti, the force of divine wisdom, then you have access to that because you're sitting under her tree. That union of Het Heru and Tahuti, we talk about that, dealing with Cheche, Afi, and Sankofa Wa, Sankofa in the Akan tradition, We talk about that in our book, showing that Sankofa is the deity to Hoodoo and Akan tradition. He's Ifa in Yoruba, Fa in Voodoo, Afa in Igbo, Sankofa and Akan, and then we show the connection between Sankofa to Hoodoo and Heteru in the Akan tradition within that Sankofa symbol. So you have access to the divine wisdom of Tahuti as you're sitting under the branches of the tree of Heteru in the sacred city of Ra. So you're illuminate, you're in the city of the Aten Atenith, the sun, you're being nourished and recalibrated by the divinity of beauty, harmony, manifest harmony, and so forth, and you're given the divine words, the wisdom, the illumination, the direction of Tahuti. All because you were living in harmony with order. You got that direction or counsel from Henet. You were able to open your mouth, prophesy, and then you receive that mouth of prophecy, divine wisdom. You can go to the place where you need to be. You become well-seated in the ancestral realm. Then you can communicate and have power over the offerings that you receive from your descendants on earth and so forth. So you can communicate with them and bring harmony to their community as well. All of that because you're able to harmonize with these deities of beauty and wisdom, Het Heru and Tahuti. And you're nourished by Hapi, as it says in the text. So just to recalibrate that, you shall live on the bread of white emmer and beer or red barley of Hapi in the pure place. You shall sit under the branches of the tree of Het Heru, who is preeminent in the wide solar disk, where she travels to Anu, the sacred city of Ra and Ra'et, bearing the script of the divine words, the writings of Tahuti, or the book of Tahuti, talking about the oracular system. You shall have power in your heart. You shall have power in your heart. You shall have power in your mouth. You shall have power in your arms. You shall have power over water. You shall have power over the waters. You shall have power over the streams. So early in the text, they said, may I have power over my arms, the legs, the waters, the streams, and so forth. That's an invocation, and the deity responds by saying, because you've done these things, you shall have power over your arms, legs, the waters, the streams, your heart, and so forth. Power over the women who would harm you. In the God's domain, the deity's domain, you shall have power over those who would give orders to harm you, the men and women who give orders to harm you on earth in the deity's domain. Raise yourself upon your left side, put yourself on your right side, sit down and stand up, throw off your dust. May your tongue and your mouth be wise. Then it says in the gloss of the text, as for whoever knows this book, talking about this chapter, he shall go out into the day, he shall walk on earth among the living, and he shall never suffer destruction. A matter a million times true. So when you see that kind of epilogue to a text in the Pert Imheru, it's talking about the effective nature of the book, the chapter. It's talking about the utility of the chapter, not only for the person who has made his or her transition into the spirit realm, they are able to wield this kind of power because they connected to the divinities, but also, as it says, for a person operating and living upon earth, they're able to walk and go out into the day, into the illumination and so forth while they're living upon earth, and shall not suffer destruction because they're harmonizing with these specific divinities. Henet, first, the highest level council, the mother of the king and so forth, the mother of the sovereign. Yes, that's talking about the sovereign of the nation, but when it's reflecting on you yourself, you are the sovereign of yourself. You are independent. You should be independent, self-governing, self-ruling. You shouldn't allow misguided desire and other individuals and lust and malice and all these different things to control and direct, your movements and your behavior and the direction of your life. You need to be sovereign over yourself, sanction what comes in and out of your awareness, and make proper decisions, repel what you need to repel and retain what you need to retain, and exercise independent thought and action that's harmonious with divine order. So when you're talking about Henet with regard to yourself, she's the mother of the king or the mother of the queen and so forth. You're the king or you're the queen mother, the sovereign of yourself. When you align with her, she's your highest level counsel with regard to that prophecy, and then she can share that information with you and then give you that capacity to quote-unquote prophesy speak as well. You have that great bill and that great pouch that's holding that great nourishment in your mouth, so you can speak what is nourishing for yourself ritually, but also to those around you, those in your family, those who are connected to you, those in your Afuraitkait community only, of course. So all of these different things are directly related to that. Then they talk about Hapi, being fed by Hapi and nourished by Hapi, the divinity of the river and so forth. And of course we had our Hapi Merit retreat, dealing with Hapi and Merit, these deities of the waters. But you're placed under the tree of Heru in harmony with order, manifest harmony, which is beauty and so forth, given the words, the book, the writings, the compilations of Tahuti, the force of divine wisdom. So you're connected with beauty, harmony, and wisdom. So you're in harmony with order, but then that wisdom allows you to perpetuate that order with giving proper counsel and so forth. So there's a continuity of the nation, as we talked about early in the MASIE book. Adjo, the highest level council, deals with the perpetuity or the continuity of the nation. It's one thing to establish a structure, it's another thing to perpetuate a structure. It's one thing for the ovum to be fertilized, it's another thing for the ovum to begin to engage that cell division, mitosis and so forth. So there's a perpetuation of that life that's been initiated through fertilization that needs to be continued or perpetuated through growth and development. So the perpetuity or the continuity of a nation is assured through that proper communication, through that prophecy, through that highest level counsel. This is what Henet, the Pelican Obosom, is dealing with. And of course, as you can see, it's directly related. When you rewatch the video, you'll see that all those things come together. So that's the information we wanted to go over with regard to Henet. If you have any questions or comments on the phone line, you can hit the number 1. Once again, we said that the pelican, Henet, is the symbol of the state of Louisiana and so forth. We will be dealing with this kind of information in Louisiana on Memorial Day weekend with our KA-KAIT, the Soul of Hoodoo and Voodoo retreat, 2-day event. So people will be arriving on Friday evening, Friday during the day, Friday evening and so forth. All of the events will take place on Saturday and Sunday, and then people will leave on Monday and so forth. But we will have the joint session with Ptah, dealing with the Ptah totem, which is that educational curriculum grounding us in ancestral culture and so forth. Then we'll have the breakout sessions. I myself will be conducting the Oberima Afurakani Manhood workshop based on the book Oberima Afurakani Manhood. I'll conduct that workshop with the brothers. Voodoo Queen Kalinda Laveau will be conducting the workshop Obaatine Afuraitkait Womanhood based on the book. Our book Obaatine Afuraitkait Womanhood, she'll conduct that with the sisters. And then we will also come back together for a joint session once again dealing with Hoodoo and Voodoo and Afurakani manhood and Afuraitkait womanhood in the context of Hoodoo and Voodoo ancestral religion. We must forge strong foundations of Afurakani manhood, Afuraitkait womanhood, because that's the foundation of a strong relationship. Relationships are the foundation of strong families, and strong families are the foundation of a strong Omai nation, specifically Odwirafo, the Purified Nation, Afuraitkait people in the Western Hemisphere. But we need to understand how to operate as Afuraitkait men and Afuraitkait women in the context of ancestral religion. In this case, we're talking about Hoodoo, the Akan ancestral religion in North America, and Voodoo, the Eve and Phone ancestral religion in North America. So that's what we're going to be dealing with in that retreat. We also have updated information on our Echisign Ancestral Religious Reversion Conference coming up here in March, the March 24th weekend in Washington, D.C. You can check our Echisign page for that. And we also have come up to close to about 58 to 59, almost 59% of our funding goal for our documentary film. So we want to say yedase to those who have contributed recently over the past couple of weeks, because what has taken place with regard to that over the past couple of weeks, we went from 48% of our goal, of our stated goal, our crowdfunding goal for the film, from 48% to 58% in a few weeks. That's a 10% jump. It's one of the fastest jumps that we've had, because we've had the crowdfund up for, this is 58 weeks, so it's been over a year. Some of you know that we had intended to have everything funded by last year because of, the tax refund situation, so we were going to use those funds for the rest of the, funding of it, but because of a tax offset, we lost over $4,000 for that, so we had to start all over and begin to raise the funds to recover that. So it's taken a little bit longer than we expected because of that incident. So, but in the past few weeks, we've moved from 48% to 58%, close to 59%. So once we reach our goal, we'll be able to finish filming within about a 30-day period. We would like to have the filming complete for a spring release of the film. And of course, AMARUKAFO, ADEBISA, ADWUMADI, African American Ancestral Divination Project is the name of the film. We're dealing with those systems and forms of divination, oracular divination, that have been maintained in the blood circles of our people here in North America over the past 300 years since we were forced from the continent. So when we were forced from the continent over 300 years ago, the manner in which we practiced ancestral religion at that moment was time-stamped within us. It was fossilized within our bones and blood, as we always say, and it is that pristine form of the tradition that we passed on to our descendants intergenerationally and transcarnationally here, that includes our methods of ADEBISA or divination. So we're not dependent on going to the continent of Afuraka, Afuraitkait, or going to somewhere else, to the Caribbean or South America, or wherever it is, to receive divination or learn how to divine or receive our ancestral religion. We have maintained our ancestral religious practices, inclusive of priesthoods and priestesshoods in the Hoodoo religion, Juju religion, Voodoo religion, Wanga religion, and Gengan religion, Greek religion, Gullah Geechee religion here in North America, unbroken for hundreds of years. So we are returning to that. Our Echisan Ancestral Religious Reversion Conference deals specifically with that. It's the only conference of its kind where we're bringing together the traditions born of our blood circles here in North America. I'll be speaking on the Hoodoo, the Akan tradition in North America at this year's conference. Our sister Wakili Oyinola will be dealing with the Juju tradition, the Yoruba tradition, maintaining the blood circles of our people over the past 300 years here in North America. And Voodoo Queen Kalinda Laveau will be here in D.C. as well, dealing with the Voodoo tradition, maintaining the blood circles of Afuraitkait people in North America prior to the Haitian migration. 100 years prior to that, we already had Voodoo in North America preserved in our blood circles. So us three will be presenting at the conference in D.C. at the end of March. But then, of course, in May, myself as well as Voodoo Queen Kalinda Laveau will be in Treme, New Orleans, with the retreat. So if you'd like to sign up for the retreat, please do so. Go to the KA-KAIT page on our website. If you support the work that we are doing and we need the assistance, we can get through that filming. We can receive, we can, just as we've shown that we went from 48% to 58%, 10% jump in a few weeks. We can definitely get that last 40% in the course of a few weeks. We've had about 119 contributors, between either 117 or 119 contributors so far over the past 58 weeks, and that has gotten us to 60%, close to 60%. We're at 58, almost at 59%, so we're very close to 60%. We can hit 60% in the next few hours, as a matter of fact. But with 119 or 117 contributors, and of course we can get to many more contributors. We have thousands of people who download our books. We're already at over 4,000 downloads of our books this month of February so far. And by tomorrow, by the end of February, we'll probably be at about 4,200, 4,300 downloads of our free ebooks and so forth. So if you have not had a chance to contribute to our effort, take a couple of minutes. It takes about 2 or 3 minutes to go to our funding site for our film. You can go to that site now, fundraiser.com, fundrazr.com/AMARUKAFO_ADEBISA. Any contribution is welcome. And yet I say we thank everyone who has contributed, and we thank, of course, those who will contribute. We're getting much closer to the goal very quickly, so we would definitely be able to have this film out in the spring. And, of course, we need to showcase real, quote-unquote, superheroes or superheroes, real super heroes. People have spent literally over $700 million on the Black Panther film produced by the Whites and Their Offspring, promoting integration, promoting, as you will see, as we talked about in our piece, they cut out the scene they filmed the scene for a lesbian relationship and so forth. They left it on the cutting room floor, and now with the sequel, they're going to have that scene, but not just the scene. They're going to fully develop the lesbian relationship character, so that once the blockbuster, numbers came out and all these millions of people went out to see the film, of course, when the sequel comes out, millions of our people go and take their children to see the film, and they'll be looking forward to seeing the roles of the sisters as the warrioresses and so forth, and that will be a mass brainwashing session to indoctrinate our people with dissexuality, homosexuality, integration, and anti-revolutionary, anti-resolutionary, anti-nationism, anti-quote-unquote Pan-Africanism and nationalism. They denigrate the nationalist character, the Pan-Africanist character, the revolutionary character. They uplift the integrationist, the Negro mindset. They have the white savior complex, and then they have the dissexuality, homosexuality. Those are the components for every white film. They're always promoting those things. Anti-revolutionary, anti-resolutionary, denigrate that, promote dissexuality, promote integration, promote the white savior. Those are always the components. That's always their agenda. They wrap that agenda up in blackface, make us pay for that agenda to indoctrinate and brainwash our people, to keep us self-destructive, and therefore to maintain white rule. We have real super heroes and super het heroes who wage war against the whites and their offspring, people within our own blood circles, under the power of Hoodoo, Voodoo, Juju, Wanga, Ngengan, and so forth, to free ourselves from enslavement and end enslavement in the Western Hemisphere. That's what our film is dealing with, those forms of oracular divination that facilitated that process, those forms of divination that we use today. So if you support the work we're doing, please go to the page now, and we appreciate that. So we're going to end the broadcast here. Yedase, we thank you for tuning into the broadcast. And Yebesha Bio, we will meet again. That's up.